Hi, my name is Sven Platte. I'm originally from Germany. I'm the founder of Digistore24.com. Welcome to Mindset Mastery for Business Leaders. I'm looking forward to this conversation that I'm sharing with you. We're going to be talking about mindset, growth, empowerment of leaders through business, and it's going to be great.
It most certainly is. Thank you so much for being here, Sven. I'm very excited for our conversation, and just to connect with you in general is always a joy.
Thanks, Nicole. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I want to just kick off with sharing about how we came to connect and how we came to know each other, because I think it's so important for folks who are wanting to lead and wanting to be able to really impact change. We met because we were both at a mastermind event together, which is specifically curated for a certain type of thinker. I believe and for folks who are not familiar with mastermind events or opportunities for growth beyond a topic, beyond specific topics, and it's more about connecting with other humans who have similar interests in some way, shape, or form, especially under the guise of business. And so I'm so grateful to have connected with you years ago through the mastermind we were both in. And as I was telling you pre-recording, for me, I was so attracted to you the moment I met you. You didn't even have to talk yet. And I was just like, who is this person that I'm like so drawn to? And you were so open to just communicating and receiving and being a part of a conversation with somebody you never met before. And as I spent more time with you and learned more about you, I was really inspired. I was inspired by the people you surrounded yourself with. I was inspired by your vibe. I was inspired by really the essence of who you are and what makes you tick. And it's been a great joy for me to just kind of see your evolution over the last few years in the area of thought leadership. And now you have a podcast and you've got all kinds of things going on in addition to obviously the incredible, businesses that you run. And so thank you. I just wanted to let folks know that that's my experience with you and my why. I feel like, especially for this production and for mindset mastery for business leaders, I'm really calling in people who are big thinkers and who are generous in nature and who are solution oriented. And so I think, I'm just so grateful that we were able to schedule this very last minute, to get your thoughts and your viewpoints here as a part of this production. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you very much for the nice words. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think mastermind events in general are a great thing to, let's say, pick brains of other people who might have solved the problem that you already had. So it'll be easier to go through your own problems once you talk to someone who already got past that. So I can recommend it to each and everyone to find a good mastermind. And this is very important, that it's good people that you like and that you like to listen to, and then you can get ahead in life and in business.
Awesome. Yes. I think it is so important surrounding yourself with people who light you up and make you feel good and make you see possibilities, opposed to being around people who are constantly telling you why something won't work, or, telling your idea is crazy. It's, where are they coming from in that? So I really value when people who I get triggered when people who don't know me at all give me feedback about something that they have no conscious awareness of. They don't know me. They don't know anything except their own like kind of angle on what they believe. To hear people give me advice unsolicited that has like no connection to me, just it's triggering. And I've found throughout my life that I turn away from it. Internally, like at my core, I turn away from it. But over the years, one of the things that has been a huge block for me is I may turn away because it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel aligned. It doesn't feel like they're on the same kind of wavelength as me. But I would allow it to affect me internally and essentially self-sabotage my own success, my own joy, my own evolution because of other people's opinions. And it's taken many, many years to get to a point where I recognize that people are always going to criticize if things are not in alignment with what somebody has inside of them and they're trying to accomplish, and they have ideas. The people who are going to squash those ideas right out of the gate are people who are just not in alignment and not the ones that we need to be listening to. And so being able to tap into communities through masterminds or anything else and finding the people who really feel good, whose opinions are like super valuable to you. I think that's so important because I love getting feedback and criticism. I don't like that term personally, but the energy of feedback, constructive feedback feels really good to me. So I love getting constructive feedback about what somebody else who feels like they're in alignment thinks about what I'm doing, and to be able to give me, feedback, and then I tweak and can adjust. It's absolutely the most valuable thing in the world, because what I find at least is that in those kinds of situations and scenarios, the people are coming from a place of seeing your brilliance and seeing your authenticity and seeing the big picture, and aligning with that and wanting for you to succeed, wanting to help lift you up so that you can, rise and complete the mission, if you will, opposed to people who are, quote, listening, but out of alignment, who are just going to deter you from going in that direction. That was a bit of a rant, so I hope it made sense. But yes, I think it's so good, and I so appreciate you bringing that up. What is it that you feel that through being a part of masterminds or any kind of collaborative things, you are a master at attracting to you the right people to be in your world and to support all of your interests? What do you think that the key to that has been? Did you get to some kind of clarity around, oh, here's people I bring in that don't feel good, here's people I bring in that feel great? Or is it just natural and something you've always been able to do?
Well, my biggest reference for that is my team at Digistore24. We have great people there. It's really awesome. So there's several things that, like, let's say it's very important that you're really authentic, so that people can like really get a feel whether they like you or not, whether they want to, like, if you're an entrepreneur, people decide by their gut feeling whether they want to join your company or not. So if you're really authentic, then people can make that decision, let's say, also more authentically for themselves, so that as a result of you guys working together, they have like a more honest picture of you. Like, for example, if you're a nice guy in a job interview, like also as the employer, but pardon my French, an a-hole at work, then that might be a bad idea. So it's better to be authentic at all times. So this is one part. The other part is, of course, being very transparent, which means that, like, in our company, we like a culture of transparency and directness. This can, of course, lead to, especially because I have my culture is like, I grew up in Germany, and so we're very direct. But this leads to more precision in the work environment, because you can point out things that you don't like, so that the other person has the chance of improving those things. And customers do that all the time. And ultimately, the ultimate pressure as a business comes from the customer. And they are very explicit and very direct. So I think you guys are all doing yourselves a favor if you establish that value of transparency and directness. And the next thing is, of course, you have to really know what you want. You have to really know what kind of people you want. What we do at Digistore24, we write down scorecards, which basically describes not just the job description, but also the must-haves of this person, the no-goes of this person, and 5 key performance indicators that tell us that this person is successful within the first 8 weeks of the job, and also the mission, like what's the mission of this job position. And a mixture of all that will, together with clear values, clear goals, a clear vision, will help a lot attract people in your company, at your workplace, but also in private, because privately people also appreciate clarity and values and let's say honesty and transparency. So I think these things matter a lot.
I love it. Yeah. So attracting the right people in all aspects then is something that has been a key for you in building and growing your successful endeavors. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Like it's really law of attraction. You communicate your ideas and what you want to build and why you want to build it, what's your mission, and then some people like it, some people feel drawn to that, and they want to join you, they want to join your company, and they like that bigger cause. And of course, your mission, your cause, your purpose has to be bigger than yourself. It shouldn't be like, oh, yeah, I'm the boss. The boss wants a new Ferrari, so this is our vision. This is not cool. It has to be for humanity. It has to bring value to other people, to the planet, to whomever, to the customers, to society as a whole. And then people really, because ultimately we are good beings. We want to do something good, whether we're like more on that end or on that spectrum. Like ultimately we want to help each other and make the world a better place.
Yeah. So it sounds like that some aspect of consciousness or altruism is really important when we're looking at this. Awesome. So I definitely want to just point out here for anybody who's with us who hasn't gone and accessed Cameron Harold's session on building your vivid vision. This is a great complement to what Sven is discussing here right now, or what we're discussing here, because the mission and the vision and all of that stuff, like you're talking about, it calls out and attracts the right people. And I guess I also feel like the stronger it can be, the clearer it can be, which at least in my life has tended to be an evolutionary process. Like I can't just figure it out up in my head. Every step of my journey, there's a different place that I land, which gets me closer and closer and closer to fulfilling my life's purpose, if you will. I think that something I learned a while ago is that repelling the wrong people is as important, or if not more important, than attracting the right people, because the wrong people in an environment that, you've created this culture up here, and you bring in 1, 2, or whatever, you bring in anybody who is not a right fit. And when I say the wrong people, it's not that the people as human beings are wrong. It's that the alignment or the connection or the vision, the who we are is different. And so I think as a leader, what you're talking about is so key. And we also want to repel the people so that they don't even suck up our bandwidth to even inquire about, oh, this sounds like a great position, but wait a minute, I don't believe any of this stuff, like, then please don't apply. Like, just do yourself and us a favor and find another place. How do you feel about that, that idea of the repulsion as much as the attraction being key here?
Yeah, it's very correct. I even like to sell to let's say to say like for example in a job interview, I like to say the polarizing things, the repulsive things in the very beginning. For example, some areas of our business are, let's say, they don't have too much structure yet, because we're building it up in some areas, in some spaces. So some of our projects are more like a startup. So this can be repulsive for some people who are used to work in corporate America, in very big, large corporations with like where all the processes are specified and predefined and not changeable, as opposed to our workplace where some things have to be built up, some processes have to be built up, and that could be super sexy for some people, but super repulsive for other people. And it's just good. It's going back to that transparency thing that I said initially. If you're really transparent about that, yes, you will repel some people, but you will also attract and excite other people. And the worst thing you can do is to try to be liked by everybody, because then like trying to make everybody happy is like the surefire way to make yourself unhappy and unsuccessful. So it's important to be polarizing and to have an opinion, to have a standpoint, and not try to be liked by each and every one, because you can't anyway. You can never achieve that.
I love it. Yeah. And it's something I can totally appreciate and relate to. And the funny thing is, and perhaps you have had a similar experience or perhaps not. I found that, since I came to this awareness years ago, I've been chipping away at it. And so it's like, oh yeah, I got it. Right. So maybe folks who are hearing this for the first time are like, oh my gosh, that makes a lot of sense. I think it's important also that we give ourselves grace and don't expect that we're going to be perfect at anything. Definitely not when it comes to human relationships and curating culture at the beginning. I know for me, over the past 5-6 years, it's been, again, an evolution, which I think everything's always an evolution, in exploring who feels good, what feels good, what does it feel like to be supported, and the only way that I have been able personally and professionally to grow is by always not getting it right, always failing at that, right? So it's like some momentum, some movement, some awareness of, okay, this is what feels good. This is what I want. This is what I'm looking for. And then this isn't, right? So speaking those polarizing messages and coming from that space and the intention. And then all of a sudden, at one point, you just kind of take a break and go, wait a minute, now let me look around. Let me assess the situation. I'm having challenges. Why is that? What have I brought into my world that is not feeling as supportive as I'd like to feel? And then reevaluating and going, okay, based on these experiences that I've had, and these people that I've brought in, I can remove the emotion out from it and look objectively and say, okay, what could be better? What would I enjoy more? How could I bring team members on that are more supportive and less draining, you know, or things like
Yeah.
that. And then I kind of reestablish my boundaries. And this iterative process over and over and over has helped me over the years to be like, I mean, I'm a good person, and I think I'm very liked by the people who are my people, who are a right fit, who are in alignment. But the people who are not my right people, you know, I've always had this people pleasing tendency because that's part of who I am. I want to help. I love to help. Yet sometimes that has hurt me in that I haven't been as clear and as definitive as I am now, but I wouldn't be able to be this definitive had I not gone through that path of making the step up and then realizing, oh, this is not what I want. And I think sometimes people feel like, oh, as they're on their journey, failure, or if it's not what they want, they just kind of go, it's not what I want, without doing that introspective piece of going, okay, so this is where I'm at now. How can it be better? How can it be better? How can it be better? Rather than staying in a space of it's not working and just get rid of everybody. I think it's important to like look within at what are we doing to attract people who aren't necessarily a great fit yet. And what do you think about that? How has that been a similar process that you've gone through, or something completely different?
Anything that you show on the outside begins on your inside. So it's very important to be clear with yourself about what you want to attract on the inside, so that you then can bring it very clearly to the outside. But keep in mind, your outside has to be appealing to the people you want to attract. And the people or the companies you want to attract, I mean, you have to look, talk, and walk like their desired partner, if that makes sense. And of course, that all starts within you, so that you can then become first, like within you, the one that would be a good fit for your desired partner.
Awesome. So can you take us through that a little bit more? So if somebody is like, ooh, I want, and I think everybody who's with us on this call can relate if they think, oh, I really want to meet this person. I really want to do business with this person. Like we've all had somebody in our mind where it's like, oh, that would be incredible and life-changing and exciting and sexy and all the things. And I think there's a balance between, I think there's an awareness that needs to happen to, rather than just saying on the surface, like, oh my gosh, I would love to interview Pink, right? Or I would love to spend time. I'd love to know Pink, right? For lack of a better, you know, just to throw out somebody there who I think is amazing. And I think there's an aspect to that we need to go into our inward to say why. Why is Pink somebody who I want to connect with or collaborate with or know or play with, have any relationship with? What about that person is attractive to me? And then, you know, I think that, at least in my mind, is a huge component to know before reaching out to somebody why, and understanding not just because of the surface level, but really knowing internally what is it about that person that inspires or motivates or delights you. And from there, going about it. But I feel like what you said about, you know, how to make yourself appealing to them is something that I definitely could learn a lot about. And I would love if you can share some more about that. So once I realize as the business leader that I want to have a relationship with a person or a brand or what have you, what's that step, or what do I need to do or be to figure out what they are looking for from me?
I see. Yeah. like the typical example, if we're talking in a business context, is, let's say you're a coach for whatever topic, for example, for nutrition or for fitness, and you want to attract usually people with more income as clients. That's usually what would be like, what would be desirable. And so what I would do is, like, I would try to find out what characteristics a coach like that should have. How should the coach present herself or himself towards these clients? And there is, like, let's say, unwritten standards about a lot of things like that. For example, all your social media pictures have to be high quality, high resolution, no weird selfies, no not too cheap cameras, a lot of happy other clients that they can relate to. Your website has to be professional. You have to look very well groomed and very professional. The way you dress, the way you communicate has to be very, like, at the level that they're used to. And you can look around, like, for example, those clients who can pay more, they usually use a lot of other services too, be it restaurants, hairdressers, stylists, whatever. And you can see how they present themselves, and you cannot go below that standard in anything you do or anything you communicate. You just can't. It's like, if I was single and I was looking for a successful, attractive woman, then I can't look like I can't look like shit, so to speak. Pardon this word. So I have to be really well groomed. I have to learn things about fashion. I have to know what colors to combine, etc., etc. I have to keep my apartment clean. I have to keep my car clean, etc. I have to keep my clothing clean. All these things, and these are kind of like unspoken rules, and they really matter. And this is, of course, the outward thing, and the inward thing is also to be worked on. For example, you cannot be afraid of losing the client or this person, because if you're afraid and if you're too nervous, then you freak the other person out, because we have these neurons that are mirroring the feelings of the other person. If you have any type of empathy, then they will freak out too without even knowing why. So you have to be aligned with yourself. You have to be comfortable with yourself and present yourself the right way, with the right business card, with the right homepage, with the right email marketing, with the right everything, basically. And you have to really put effort into getting all that right.
Thank you. Yeah, I love this. And it sounds like, so we want to really figure out what other services, what other things the person or the people that we want to attract are already attracted to, and sort of do a study of that and figure out that, oh, they are attracted to these kinds of things. So I can guess that if I present these types of things equally or better, that I have a chance to get their attention and to then be able to woo them into relationship. But if what I want is misaligned with what they want, then we're never going to cross paths or interact in a meaningful way, because we're looking at and for different things.
Yeah.
I'm hearing you.
And it's also really about positioning. You cannot position yourself as too many things. You cannot be the relationship and fitness and nutrition coach and psychologist and whatever and life coach at the same time. That's too much. You have to pick something very specific that you're really good at and make this your brand basically, and focus on that. If I'm, for example, if I'm a fitness coach, I will not give advice, public advice about how to write your tax declaration or how to do your bookkeeping, or or how to live your life better or something, how to have a better love life or anything like that. And this is what I feel like many coaches are doing or trying. They're afraid of not covering a subject, so they try to cover all the subjects. But that's bad. I mean, if we talk about attracting a client, and the client wants a specialist basically for this certain purpose. And if you, for example, a great thing in my opinion is like if you are a coach for weight loss for women over 40 after pregnancy, for example, this would be like very specific. This would be very cool. And you should leave out the life coaching aspect, even if you like spirituality and self-improvement and all that. That probably you wouldn't succeed that way.
I love it. And I can relate in when I was doing PR and doing full service bookings and things, the impact that my clients got from working with me specifically, and why they would say, oh my gosh, like whatever. I had Calvin Corelli from Simplero give me a testimonial video where like, he's like, oh my gosh, Nicole's a genius at this. And whatever you need to do, pay her whatever she asks because it's worth it. But the reason that I had those kinds of experiences and testimonials were because I was able to bring in my personal skills and my personal interests and the way that I help people by bringing in everything. But I wasn't saying, hey, I'm a life coach and a publicist. And, it was like, hey, you want to get booked on podcasts? You want to expand your reach, expand your brand? I can help you with that. But the way that I did it after I got the client was by leveraging those personal development things, those experiences that I've had throughout my life and my learning lessons. But the client doesn't need to hear about all that. They just need to have the results. And so I think it's, I'm really glad you brought that up. And I think it's applicable to beyond something like a coach. I think it's very applicable to any business. Like if we think about restaurants, the best restaurants, at least in my opinion, are very clear on what they do and who they serve. And that's it. They're not trying to get everybody in the door and please everyone. They're very specific, which is why they succeed, because they're turning away the majority of people in favor for only the right people. And when you said before about, the specificity of the weight fitness coach for women over 40 after pregnancy, I got tingles. And I feel like there's a lot of people who probably heard that and were like, that's too much. I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur and yada, yada. And I can't limit myself. But the magic here in what you shared is that by being extremely specific about who your people are and who you want to attract, it actually puts you in a class of one. You're not competing for attention because you're speaking so clearly to that woman who's over 40, who just gave birth and feels like she can't get her body back or anything about that. You're the only person that she wants to talk to, right? And so while there may not be billions of her, there's enough to sustain you forever and help you grow and your company grow and expand to doing more of the things that you really value and want to do. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's basically the application of the so-called blue ocean theory. So you're creating your own small blue ocean where you don't really have competition. If you look at the fitness market, fitness market and weight loss coaches like you're competing against millions and millions of people, but if you're specific to a certain problem of a certain group of people, then it becomes a blue ocean again instead of a red ocean.
I love it. And I'm just gonna, here at this point, it's such a perfect point for a little bit of self-promotion here, and like letting people know what mindset mastery for business leaders is really all about. And that's what it is. It is just what Sven shared. It's that me and my evolution, I have recognized that the right people for me that I want to play with, that I want to mentor, that I want to be mentored by, that I want to invest in, that I want to just love up and be loved up by, are people who take 100% responsibility, 100% of their life experience. They're growth minded, they're growth oriented, they're not closed off. They're not in a place, and Sven, maybe you've heard something like this before too, and I think we've all gone through it to an extent to be able to sift and sort out what it is we really want. But they're not coming from a place of, oh no, I know best and I'm doing it, because we're basically at that place saying, I need nothing more. So there's no space in my world for people who are full. If your cup is full, blessings to you, and great. I'm excited for you and for what you have along your mission, but that's misaligned with my mission, which is really expanding consciousness through business and bringing people together into a blue ocean who are like-minded, who want to expand, who want to grow in a way that is generous and collaborative and solution focused, opposed to problem oriented. And I think it's never too late. This is something also that, especially having worked so many years in social services and in corrections and with addictions and all of these things, is it's something I've always said to clients or anybody who's passed, crossed my path, is it's never too late. Like, you can make a decision in this moment right now that you are choosing to improve your feelings, improve your experience, improve the people you surround yourself, like whatever it is that would feel better to you than what you've been dealing with. You can choose that anytime, whether it's how you're living your personal life, addictions, or just, family, friendships, and definitely business.
Yes.
Thank you. So we have, I've had a great time with you, and I appreciate you taking the time. I know it's late where you are. So we're going to wrap up in just a moment. But before we do, I want to make sure that everybody knows how to connect with Sven. And I really want to know what your biggest takeaways from this session were. So I would love for you to grab your handy. I made that mistake once where I said in somebody's interview, your handy, because I couldn't think of the English word for cell phone. But in this case, with a German with me, it's appropriate to say your handy. Grab that phone, take a picture, whatever you want to do, and post up on social a shout out to let us know what has been your biggest takeaway from this session so far. Make sure that you're using the hashtag MMFBL for Mindset Mastery for Business Leaders. And also you want to tag Sven Platte. I can't say it the way you do the American and the pronunciation. So I'll just spell it out. That's at SVENPLATTE. And that way Sven's team will be aware. I don't know if Sven, if you actually look at your Instagram yourself or not, or if it's your team that manages, but in any case, we definitely want to appreciate you and let you know how much value you brought today. And of course, I want to know as well what people's big takeaways were, because we can only further support you when we know what you're loving. So before we go, yeah, thank you. Is there anything else? I know I've like pointed the questions a lot throughout this. I just want to give over the mic to you to share any of your kind of final words of wisdom, any thoughts that you feel would be helpful to our audience at this point?
Yes, thank you. So, like, as my final best tip for you, that I really hope you're succeeding in your purpose, in your mission, is to not be afraid of making mistakes and to just move one step forward instead of second guessing and like doing one step forward and then just being insecure again and then just waiting and procrastinating. The thing is, there is no such thing as like a clear download or a clear vision, a clear purpose. You'll be always, like, to some extent a bit unsure and a bit insecure, but just keep walking, just keep doing your thing, and don't be afraid of making mistakes, and then finally you'll get there. The worst thing you can do is just not act and just don't get moving, because I like the metaphor of a bicycle. The bicycle, you won't fall off a bicycle as long as you're moving.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.